Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Pop-Up Positivity. This is Jackie Martin with A Matter of Motivation. So excited to be here. It's kind of a special day for me. I get a chance to introduce somebody I just absolutely adore and love and have since, oh gosh, we were little. This is my cousin, but I want you to really get to know Sally Herman. She is something special, and I'm saying that from my heart, but I'm also saying that as a woman in business. I'm so excited to be able to share with you her story of what brought her to where she is today and the cool stuff she's getting to experience in her career and in the business she owns. So welcome, Sally.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. Well, okay. Would you do me a favor, though? Fill in some of the blanks and tell everybody just a little bit more about you and about what brought you to where you are today.
Okay, I'll try to make it short and sweet. I went to art school in Chicago, and I always had a pull to move somewhere else. And I decided to move out to Los Angeles because my brother was out there first. He was out there about 6 months before I was. And I was between jobs, and I said, now's the perfect time to go. And so I went out there with no job, no car, no apartment, and slept on my brother's floor for 4 months. And I ended up by chance getting a job at Paramount Studios, the film studio. And what was interesting is somebody told me in Chicago, oh, call this person and they might be somebody you want to talk to. Well, it ended up, I decided I was going to call this person that I'd never met before, and a couple steps happened. I went out with her 1 or 2 times, and she was my in to Paramount Studios. I had no idea that that could happen. So I ended up being with Paramount Studios. I started off as a production assistant, which I made copies, and I made copy, and I sharpened pencils way back when. And it wasn't the job that I went to college for, but I took a risk and decided that's what I wanted to do. And it ended up turning into a job that was in the merchandising and licensing department. And I was there for 4 years. So that job, where I was a gopher, is what we called it back then, was able to springboard me into something that was able to use my skills. So I ended up working there for 4 years. And then I ended up moving away from California to Texas, and I ended up being in an advertising agency, and I was there for a little bit. And then I had started my family. I have 2 boys that are out of college, and so I decided to stay at home with them. But while I was at home, I did a lot of freelance work. I kept my toes in the business world here and there with various projects. And so I never was completely out of it, but I was never an employee of somebody until later on. I ended up in 2009, I ended up working with my sister, who was in the toy industry, and I created a product something that I've always loved. I've always loved color. I've always loved markers. I always loved drawing. And I was able to create a product that ended up going on store shelves for about 1.5 years. They went on store shelves at Toys R Us and Target, which was absolutely amazing. That it was a seed that I had in my brain, and I was able to utilize my sister's ability to help me put this product on store shelves because she was in the industry, the toy industry, and I call it a successful failure. I took a seed in my brain. I was able to move forward and create the product, and it failed. And it was only on the shelves for about 1.5 years. And even less than 1.5 years, actually. And it broke my heart. I was devastated. It broke my heart. But I learned so much from the process. and I made some great contacts. I believed in myself. I was able to realize that I had a lot to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And so about a month after I realized my dream was over with my product, I was approached by a friend of mine in my community that said, hey, she approached, there were 5 of us, and we were all together at dinner, and she said, hey, I found out that this big film studio is going to move 8 miles from where I've lived for 20 years, and it's a film studio. And I thought, really? That's crazy. I mean, I was in the film industry back in Los Angeles, and here I am in Georgia, in the middle of nowhere, not even in the city of Atlanta. I live in Peachtree City. And so this major studio ended up being built 8 miles from where I've lived for 20 years. And so my business partner and I said, what can we do? And so she came up with the idea of a concierge service. They were coming from Hollywood, from New York, from London, and they were coming to our little community here, and they didn't know where things were and what things were. And my business partner and I said, hey, we can be their instant community. So we decided to create a business called C&S Film Concierge. And so we approached, well, let me say this first before I go into how we approach somebody.
Yes.
So we started to work on it. We started to brainstorm. We would contact each other and talk to each other. We both had seniors in high school that were getting ready to graduate. This was April, excuse me. This was April of 2013. And it's really crazy. April, May of senior year. And so we started to come up with an outline of what we thought we would need. And then things kind of slowed down in the summer, but I felt like, it's funny, I find out later, I felt like she was pushing me. I felt like, oh, I can't let her down. I need to do my stuff.
Yeah.
And so I started to build a website. I have never built a website before. I had no idea how to do it. But one of my friends said, oh, there's this website template called Wix. So I went on it and I started to build a website.
Well, let me stop you for 1 second. Let me ask you, at this moment, if you can recall, when you were in that place, you had this opportunity, you didn't know if it was going to happen or not happen. You'd never done these things before. Can you remember what was going on in your mind? I mean, what were you guys saying to each other or even to yourself during this time?
Well, we did not know if our idea was relevant at all. And I did a bunch of Google searches and I looked for concierge businesses in the film industry. I found concierge businesses in the hotel industry, hospitality industry, personal shopping for people. That was not what we wanted. We decided that if somebody, this example is what we used all the time. We said if somebody is here filming a movie and they break their crown in their tooth and they can't go back to Los Angeles to see their dentist, they need to get back on set as quickly as possible. So we said we have relationships, and my business partner and I were saying that we have these relationships. We know the great dentists in town. We know the great doctors. We know the babysitters that we would recommend, the nail salons, what dry cleaners to go to trust. So we had this. So when we were talking, we said, we have all these resources that we've been using for 20 years, that we know them, that we want to share with the industry. And so we always use the dentist version. And we have actually done that probably 8 or 9 times in 6 years, where somebody said, I broke a crown. Literally, they used our example. I mean, we had the example actually come to fruition, and we worked out an agreement with our dentist that said these people will be needing to get in right away, and they would open up early and get them in there fix their crown or fix whatever happened so they wouldn't mess up their other clients that they have. And they would help them before, after hours, and they would be able to get back on set within a couple hours.
So wait, let me ask you.
Yes.
So just so everybody's clear, this thing didn't exist before. The
Well,
studio was on its way, right? And you had to put together a business plan. Is that correct? To approach them?
We had to come up with what if scenarios.
Uh-huh.
So that's absolutely, it didn't even exist. They were just starting to scrape the ground, grade the ground. And to go back to my Google search, I found one place. I found one place in Albuquerque, New Mexico that did something similar. Nowhere else, anywhere. Because all the films that are being made in Los Angeles and New York, they've been there for years and years and years. People know everything around where the places are to go. And so what we did is, as we were I was building the website, my business partner was creating the copy, I was building the website, I was coming up with stock photos that I could use online, and I was pulling them all together. And so we had something tangible. We didn't just have it in our idea, in our heads. We actually put something together. And as we were putting this together, we thought we would reach out to this business. We didn't know who this person was. I found him online. So I called this person up, and the president of the company answered the phone. It's a very small business. And I remember sitting at my kitchen table, and he was excited that we loved his business.
This was the one in New Mexico?
The one in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Gentleman who answered the phone found out that we were interested in creating a similar business in Georgia, was excited to help us. And he has ended up being a wonderful mentor for us. I have picked up the phone, I have emailed him, and my business partner and I actually flew out to Albuquerque twice and have met with him. And so this random phone call ended up creating this relationship with a person who told us our business idea was relevant. He encouraged us, told us to go for it. He actually even gave us a contract that he created for one of his clients. He blacked out a lot of the information in there, but kept the meat for us. And so the synchronicity of things happening was amazing. And a part of it is because my business partner and I were so excited about it. We didn't put together a business plan. We didn't look at the numbers. We didn't do any of that. We were just moving forward. We were taking steps, little steps. And in that summer, when I thought I was disappointing my business partner, she felt the same way. So we were both working on it separately, concerned that we were letting the other person down, but it ended up working out great. But so we created this tangible product to highlight the ideas that we came up with. So we started talking to some of our contacts, and we found somebody who knew somebody in the industry. And they were working on a television series that has zombies, and it's near my community. I won't say what it is, but anyway, it's a very well-known television show. And so this person worked on that television show. And so what I did is my business partner and I took him to lunch, and I brought my laptop and opened it up in this little cafe near our town. And he sat down and we said, "What do you think of this?" And he looked at it and he goes, "Oh my goodness," he goes, "I can't tell you how many times I've needed somebody like you to help me find something." And the example he used is he has a producer who loves to ride horses. She's not anywhere near her horse, and she would like to just go ride a horse. She doesn't want to do the trotting, she wants to ride. And so we could do that. I know people that we could help him out with that. So anyway, he said we were relevant. So we started to contact more people, and the more people we contacted, the more they loved the idea. But we kept it kind of under wraps a little bit because we didn't want anybody else to steal our idea. And we ended up getting to talk to the person who was hiring people to hire vendors to fill a space at the studio, because there's so many support businesses. There's not only the movie, the production company that makes the movie, the Marvels of the world, but there's lighting companies, there's people who supply the green screens, people who supply the makeup, and we were going to be one of those vendors. And what's interesting is we had an appointment to go meet with this person, and I was worried all he wanted to do was fill space. And I'm like, oh, they just want our money, sort of thing. I was concerned about that, but I was completely wrong. They did want to fill the space, but they felt like our business was relevant also. And they ended up interviewing 7 people that, 7 businesses that wanted to do something similar, but they were all a little different. One was a company that wanted to do 5-star service. One of the companies wanted to do personal shopping, and these other companies were doing things in between, and they said, oh, we want to be able to do this. We can provide this for you, and we can create it for you. But the funny thing is, what we did is we said we can do everything soup to nuts. We can do the 5-star service all the way to personal shopping and everything in between. And I showed him the website that I created, and he was able to see what we were talking about. Nobody else had a website. They had the ideas, and they probably could have been good also. But we created this tangible website and brought it in, and we were able to walk him through it. And we found out the next day that they wanted to work with us and wanted us to be a vendor.
That is so cool.
Which was amazing. And then
I remember.
And then from that, we've been in business. That we're going on our 7th year, and we've done some crazy things. So I don't know if you have any questions for me, but that's where I got where I am.
Yes.
Crazy things.
Well, I mean, I think it's such a cool trajectory of your career and sort of your history, and how cool it is that it's almost come full circle, right? From your Paramount days.
Yes.
What did you think? I mean, just when you knew, hey, I was going to be able to do work in the film industry out of Georgia. That had to be a surprise.
So one thing that's really interesting for me is I have always missed the film industry, the entertainment industry. And I was sad that I left California, but Georgia is where I wanted to raise my family. And so I always tell people I had this little seed in the back of my mind of missing the film industry and wanting to work in the film industry again. But I was living in Georgia, and there was no way that I was going to move back to California. I never said, oh, that's never going to happen. I just let it sit there, and I recognized it was there way, way back there, way back there. It was like a little pilot light, and I never let it go. And I didn't discount it. I didn't know how it would happen. I didn't create steps to say, it's going to happen this way. Didn't do it. It came to me, which was mind-blowing to me, that not only did the film industry, the biggest studio outside of Los Angeles, showed up, was built 8 miles from my home. I was now going to be a vendor there to help people. But the biggest budget movie ever made, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, and a bunch of Marvel, 6 or 7 Marvel movies before then, were created at the studio. And we actually have film credits on the Avengers of Infinity War in the special thanks, Avengers Endgame, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, blew our mind. This,
Wow.
we could have never imagined it. It's bigger than we would have ever thought. And one thing that's really interesting is we have this website that I created, that we both created. And during our during the entire time that we've been in business, we would organically go with the flow. We didn't say, oh, we don't do that. We said yes. We said yes to everything. Even if it was something silly, we said yes. And we told people, if we don't have the answer, we will get you the answer. And so we went where the business led us. We let it be organic. And that's why I guess a business plan, it didn't matter, because we wouldn't have followed it anyway. We did where we approached people, we approached the business where the need was. And one thing that's so interesting, and I'm sure those of you who have lived in Georgia know this, that people love Southern hospitality. Mm-hmm. And they love how authentic we are. And that is one of the things that has made us so successful, is we didn't go, oh, we're going to work in the film industry. We need to button everything up and be completely serious. We were able to go, hey, what do you need? How can we help you? Oh, absolutely, we can do that for you. And these people that weren't used to the Georgia Southern hospitality were amazed at how welcoming we were. And not only my business, the other businesses that were from Georgia, the businesses and the neighbors that they came to know as they moved here. And so the people here in Georgia have so much to offer. And it's not Los Angeles, but so many people love Los Angeles for what that is, and New York, where they do a lot of filming, but they also love Georgia. They love what we bring to the table, and how so many of us are just so authentic. Not saying that people aren't authentic elsewhere. I can say here we are. And talking to them person to person, and I'm talking executive producers. I'm talking the head of Marvel. I am talking about A-list actors. We treated them like normal people. They're like us, and they want to know who the best nanny is, because they want their children to be able to have fun with their nanny, and they want to be able to feel competent. And we say, this is who we would use. And we never say, don't go to this place. We say, these are who we use, and these are who we like. These are who we enjoy. And
well, let me ask you this about, because I think obviously you bring your own style and personality to this that makes it such authentic, warm, and inviting to people. But let me ask you, I think a lot of people get a little wiggy about working with people like you just talked about in the film industry, especially actors or somebody they would perceive, to be way up on the, A list. But tell me how it is you've been able to sort of stay in that kind of positive mindset and see them for who they really are, which is just another person.
I've had the opportunity to talk to people in the upper echelons of businesses in the film industry back when I was at Paramount Studios. And I was able to see the culture, how the culture worked. And I saw many, many people in this industry. They just are regular people. And as Jackie knows, I will talk to anybody. And it's the energy that they give off, that I give off, that we work together and we find this common ground. And I just buckle down, do my job, and get it. help them make their lives easier, help them have a good day. The thing about being in the concierge business too is when people call on us, when people hire my company, they're in need of something. So they're needing us to solve their problem. We call ourselves the fixers and connectors. We connect them with other businesses, and we fix issues that happen. And so people tend to be in a good mood when you're solving their problems.
Well, it's funny because everybody should actually consider themselves in that mode, because truly, whatever we're selling or whatever we're providing for other people in any relative business needs to be something that solves a problem, right? And so I love the fact that you've used that word concierge, because I think that already has the air or the title of I'm here to help.
And I'm laughing because I have to let you all know, I had to learn how to pronounce it when we named the business. So this was all new to me. This whole thing was new to me. And the trajectory that it went on was amazing. And the thing is, I really think that people need to follow their heart. And as Jackie knows, for many, many years, I felt like I was a jack of all trade and a master of none. I have an art degree and a graphic design degree, and then I was a production assistant. I worked at an ad agency. You know, I did these various things, and my sister ended up knowing she was going to be an architect when she was in 7th grade. My other sister knew that she was going to be in business and marketing since high school. And I kind of ping-ponged around. And I never felt like I was one of those people that had it all going on. And so I didn't have a lot of self-confidence when I took that break raising my children. And look at me now. Holy cow. I mean, everything that I did, it fell into place. I use my being a production assistant and knowing how to deal with people and running around getting things for people. I use that now. The merchandising and licensing that I worked on, I made all the jackets, the 2,000 jackets that they gave away to their crew, and I'm doing that now, which uses my art degree, which uses my design eye. Working in the toy industry and being able to create a product that went on store shelves. I had to work on a concept to a final product, and that's my business. And so I took all these things that to me were all over the place, and it created this very successful business. And I think you have to be authentic and true to what you feel in your heart. You have to say, even if we were to tell people what we were doing, they would say, oh, that's not going to work, or how are you going to afford to do that, or where are you going to make the money, or oh my gosh, you're spending so much time on it. I mean, my business partner and I, and Jackie knows this for a fact, we put so much blood, sweat, and tears in it. We would work so many hours, and we had notebooks by our bed. My business partner, I know she said in her home too, she did it. We had notebooks next to our bed because we would wake up and we would come up with an idea and we would just write it down. Maybe it didn't make sense. Maybe nothing ever happened. Maybe it failed. Maybe it didn't work, but we tried. We tried it and we followed things. And so whatever you feel and you like and you want to do, believe that you can do it. And don't put it in a box that it has to happen a certain way, but take little steps moving forward. If you have an idea, move forward in little things, like look at something online today, and then tomorrow go down the rabbit hole and maybe look up somebody else, or make a phone call, or think about some of the people that you know, some of the adults that you know that might be in the industry, that maybe not in the exact industry, but maybe a support to the industry that you like, or however you can find those threads. And I always say people love to talk about themselves, not in a bad way, in a good way. So if you find somebody that you want to find out if your idea is a good idea, ask them, say, can I have an informational interview with you? Not to get a job, not that. To say, I would love an informational interview. I would love to hear how you got where you are. And you sit there and you listen. You listen to how they got where they are, ask them questions, and they will more than likely ask you a couple questions, but you're actually interviewing them. And then generally what happens is they're excited about what your product is or your idea or your enthusiasm, and they want to help you. And that's what happened to some of the people that we talked to. The owner of the company in Albuquerque wanted to help us. So he was more than willing to provide us with information. There's other people that we talked to that wanted to help us and gave us other names. So when you go talk to somebody at the end of the meeting, say, do you have a couple people you would recommend that I talk to? I would love to hear their stories. And they'll be so happy to go, you need to talk to Jane. You need to talk to Bob. I'll call them and I'll let them know that you're going to talk to them. And not be afraid to talk to people about whatever your idea is, even if your idea is not concrete, even if it's just rolling around in your head. Talk to people, and they would love to talk to you.
That I have heard that from you all through the years, and have always admired how fearless you've been with that. So let me ask you, as we're looking over your career that's brought you to this really cool, in a way, a kind of mind-blowing opportunity that you've created for yourself. Can you think of, and then I just have one more question for you. Can you think of, if others are feeling that they're not quite there, maybe they're feeling that lack of confidence you mentioned in the middle there of your kind of career time, what would you give them as far as a piece of advice if they were calling you to say, I want to hear your story? What's one word you would give them that would, or a couple, okay, that's all right, that would just be that sweet spot advice for them? What would that be?
So I have learned more businesses, this is my opinion only, more businesses than you realize fly by the seat of their pants. They don't know what the end product is going to be, or if this new idea is going to work or not. And so you have to just be ready to go, why not me? Why not me? There's plenty of people out there that are just as capable as you are, maybe better than you in some areas, maybe not as good as other areas. But it takes more than just smarts. It takes more than just personality. It takes more. And you need to think, why not me? If it's going to be somebody, if there's 1 out of 100 that are going to get something, well, that one person, it's that one person. Why not you? Why can't you be that one person? Or 1 in a million. It's somebody. Have it be you.
I love that. Why not me? I mean, I think that's super cool. And I also heard you say about that some people fly by the seat of their pants. And there's 2 parts of that in my head. One is that because you were willing to do that, you were willing to hear the call of something unconventional that took you there. But I also, there's a new phrase I just heard today, and somebody used the word hyper flexibility.
Oh, yeah.
And so does that ring true with what has gotten you to really be successful with this?
And I use the term organic because it just is. It just moves. And And when we said yes to whatever it is, we were being hyper or flexible. We bended that way. And so in turn, bending, like you're saying, being super flexible, made what we were doing organic. And not everything we've done worked. Some things we spent so many hours on and it just didn't work. But something else that we didn't think would work at all is half of where our income comes from. We took a chance and wow, who would have thought?
Well, and so you are embodying, if anybody's watched any of the other videos, they know I have this one question that came from my friend Nina Aubert, and I've been asking everybody this, but I have not talked to anyone who embodies it more than you. So let me ask it of you and tell me what your thoughts are. When you hear the phrase or the question, what if it's better? What if it's better? And so what are your thoughts when you hear that?
The first thing that comes to my mind is where I look at what we have in the present day. And as I said, I have a notebook on the side of my bed with ideas, or somebody will say something. And so I'm open to hear better ways to do things. And sometimes it just doesn't sit right with me that it's the better way to do it. So I go with my gut. But I always feel like there's a new and exciting thing out there that could be better. And I've also learned that there are so many people out there that can support my business partner and I and our business, that we're not the best at everything. Believe me, we're not the best at everything. So I understand what I'm not good at, and I understand where I need to call on other people who are experts in their field, whatever they may be. It could be somebody who's just out of college. It could be my son. One of my sons might come up with an idea. But just to keep your mind open and go with your gut. It's always better somewhere, and not in a negative way that what I'm doing is not good enough. And who knows, we could do something better and then decide to go back. What I always say, when I moved out to California with nothing, pretty much, as I said at the beginning of the video, I said I can always go home. I can always go back to Chicago if I don't like it here. That's okay. It's possible. So these better ideas that we come up with, if we don't like it, we can uncheck that box and go back to what we were doing before. Just because you check a box, whether it's a degree, my graphic design degree, I unchecked that box a year after I graduated. I unchecked it, but I've utilized what I learned in every facet of what I've done, getting me to this point. But you can always uncheck a box.
I love that. I love that. And I think especially if there are young people who are watching who get concerned that either the job they've got right now or the degree they're getting right now is not going to be the be all end all. And I can almost say it's not going to be, because what's the fun of that? You might as well. And in fact, just for full disclosure, your sister, who is going to be an architect, is not. She's a teacher, right? So she even followed her.
But then she's now
Well,
a 6th grade teacher.
I love that.
I do have to say, so my degree is in graphic design, as I had mentioned early on. My last semester of college, I had an opportunity to take computer graphics, and I wanted to get out of there in 4 years, and I couldn't fit computer graphics in there. So I tell people, the minute I walked across the stage, when I got my diploma from college, my degree was obsolete, because from that point on, everything I had learned technically, if I said that correctly, was obsolete, because they went to computer graphics. But everything I learned in my mind, like how to come up with an idea, and it's the execution that changed, but not everything that I learned about the degree I carried in so many other businesses. So my degree was obsolete the minute I got my diploma, but it turned out great.
Yes, there you
It's
go.
okay.
And the learning just compounded over the years.
Yeah.
Oh, I am so glad that you've been able to share. And I have to say, there may be some people who want to reach you. And one thing I have to say, I've sent people in your direction before because I think people get very excited about the film industry and they think there's only one or two things you can do, but there's so many things
Yeah.
that are needed to support that industry that people could be involved in. And so if they wanted to reach you, do you have your website address that you might be able to share? We'll share it in the description
Yes.
information, but would you share that with everybody?
Yes. I'm going to have to spell it out because it's
Okay.
kind of confusing. Info, short for information, INFO at C&SFilm.com. So C as in cat, and spell out the word and, A-N-D, S as in Sally, me, film.com.
All right. You may
Wait,
be
no, that
one
was
of
my
those
email
mentors.
address. Wait, my
That's
website.
okay. That's okay. But so give us your email address then. I mean, I got your email address. Give us your website.
My website is candsfilm.com, CANDSFILM.com. And we need to update it, so it's the one that I built 6 years ago.
But you're learning every day how to do all these things.
We're going to hire somebody else to do it now. So
That's right. Sally, I'm so glad you were able to come and share with us. And this is positivity, and you just exude it. And so thank you for sharing your story. And I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, this is Jackie Martin with A Matter of Motivation and another edition of Pop-Up Positivity. We'll see you soon.